So my videographer Tyler thought it would be another good idea to just keep asking me weird questions and just kind of give you a little bit of a background into the life of Zander. So I made the mistake of saying, sure, why not? So let's do it, man.
All right.
I think the biggest thing for entrepreneurs, as we're going through these crazy times, is to really just remain adaptable, right? I think one of the big things that we always talk about is like in change, there's always hardship and there's opportunity, right? And it's the leaders, it's the people that are actually paying attention, they're ready for change, they're ready to adapt, and rather than falling into fear, they're making the courageous decisions now to benefit them in the future. Those are going to be the ones that really change the face of this world moving forward. I think one of the things you and I were talking about is like 50% of the Fortune 500 was actually started in some form of recession or depression. 50%. And that's because, it's these hard times that actually create true leaders. And that's something that I think is really important for every entrepreneur to remember. There's a saying around entrepreneurship. It says, never waste the opportunity of a recession. And what that means is there is so much opportunity during these times to really grow and stand up and be the leader that this world needs. That's really what entrepreneurs need to start focusing on. 100%, right? Like this whole thing has completely changed the paradigm of the way that we look at business. It's made a lot of businesses more intelligent because they have to have contingencies for whatever's coming up. But that being said, a lot of people are going to live in fear and think that we can never go back to the new norm, right? So it's very important to be aware of, in any business, it's really important to understand the market. It's really important to understand the psychology of people because in any business, you are selling to other people. And if you have to know how they're thinking, what's important to them, for you to actually be able to create a business around that. Before we dig into this, I saw a video online, and it was this video because you know how like all schools are like going virtual, right?
Sure, yeah.
And it was like a little selfie tripod set up in front of this guy's laptop. He was on his like Zoom call for his calculus class, and it was a selfie tripod, and it was his iPhone sitting there, and he had a looped video of himself sitting there like staring, and then like occasionally taking notes. So on the Zoom call, it just like showed him sitting there like attentively, like paying attention, and he's just nowhere to be found. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's smart for that, I guess.
Too
if you
funny.
call that lazy or smart.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, he's making.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's an entrepreneur right there. That's an entrepreneur figuring out the best way to accomplish something.
All right, so with that being said, do you think kids will have less of an education if school starts shifting to more online coming in the fall semester? And do you think tuition should be reduced if they're not actually going to class, they're not having that face-to-face?
Yeah. I 100% think that it should be reduced, absolutely, because you are like part of the things that you're paying for is actually physically being there. It should absolutely be reduced. The other thing about it, just like you mentioned, is are they going to be less educated? I actually don't think so, right? A lot of people that, whether they're working from home or they're doing school from home, they're realizing that they can actually be a lot more efficient at the education process or at getting stuff done. So, teleworkers right now are a good example. People are finding out that they're able to accomplish in 4 hours from working from home what they used to have to take 8 hours at work to do because they're just more efficient. It's the same thing that's going on in the education system, right? There was a lot of wasted time when people had to physically be in places. So you are going to find people, you are going to find a lot of creative people and entrepreneurial-minded people that are going to be more educated because of this, because of the better productivity time that they have virtual. Oh man, honestly, the first thing that just came to me right now is my wife, Maddie.
Yeah.
There's a lot that really excites me in life. Everything that we do at High Impact Coaching just really gets me up in the morning. But right now, I've been just really grateful to have such an amazing and inspiring woman in my world. So right now, Maddie's probably one of my biggest inspirations and one of my lights right now. I think, overall, just life in general is a pretty amazing thing. I've been through a lot of hardship in my life, more than most people think. So I've seen death, I've seen loss, I've been through a lot, and it really makes you appreciate a lot of the smaller things in life. Like, we were just filming earlier, and like I was standing next to a jasmine bush, and I literally, as soon as I smelled the flowers, I was like, oh my god, like this is the most amazing thing in the world. Yeah. So it's some of those little things that really inspire me in life. It's just like the sunshine, the ocean, the smell of jasmine as you're walking by it. So there's a lot of things that light me up, but I think the thing that came to me first right now is definitely Maddie.
Yeah. Input on that.
I don't even know where to go with this one. I have two. That's like Inception within Inception. Oh man. If two mind readers read each other's minds at the same time, whose mind are they reading?
Actually, yeah, that kind of hurts my brain.
I think I'm gonna give up.
You just shut down.
This is where my brain turns off. I'm gonna ask my team that when I get home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into building a proper team. I think one of the most important things that I learned from a very young age. So obviously, I was in Air Force ROTC before getting kicked out when I got a DUI, but that really sparked my desire to become a great leader. I was really focused on becoming a leader in the Air Force, and I still remember this. One of the things that I learned in the Air Force was, as a leader, people will not follow you unless they are under your level. Basically, what that means is, as a leader, say you're a level 7 out of 10 as a leader, you will not get anybody on your team that is above a 6. You will never be able to lead people that are a higher level person than you are, right? So really what that means, in order to build out a proper team, you are constantly having to become a bigger, better leader, right? So if you want people on your team that are 8s, 9s, and 10s, you yourself have to be a 10 or an 11 as a leader. So really, when it comes to building your team, the first thing you have to understand is you have to build yourself, because people won't follow you unless you are a true leader at your core.
As an entrepreneur. Like, I know you quit Cisco, you've talked about that. Is there anything else that...
Yeah, it's interesting, because the first thing that kind of brings up for me, it's probably not what you're expecting to get as an answer. It's the day that I decided to drive home after having 3 beers and I got a DUI, right? Because that moment really sparked, it really sparked a lot of change in my life, right? I think, everybody has to hit some form of rock bottom for them to change. And I've had several rock bottoms across my life, but that was one of them. I was going to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force. I had the next 20 years of my life planned out. Whatever it was, 4 months away from graduation, and I got a DUI, and I lost everything, right? And that moment really sent me down a path. That moment really sent me down a path of either choosing that I could implode, or choosing for that to be a learning lesson, and continuing the growth process and finding more out of life. And I honestly think that moment when I got a DUI, I still remember sitting in the drunk tank all night long. I didn't sleep under the fluorescent lights, and I was just thinking to myself, how could this moment be for me rather than to me? And that's all I could think about for however many hours I was in that tank before they released me in the morning. How could this moment be for me rather than to me? And it sent me down a spiral, over 10 years later now, or right around 10 years later now, of personal growth, personal development, personal betterment to really get to the point where I have such attachment and conviction to my purpose, my fulfillment, and the ability to take courageous action in the face of fear, that there's no question in my life that I will achieve all the things that I want to achieve. but it all stems from that rock bottom moment. Well,
Situation.
we all kind of hit those rock bottom moments, and we have those ahas, and we never know where they're going to come from or how they're going to come.
Yeah.
But that was it for me. I've heard other people talk about, it can be simple things like, actually going back to like, me getting my DUI. One of the guys that I met at one of the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, he was an alcoholic, and he told me, he had spent years as an alcoholic. He was homeless at one point. Had lost his whole friends and family and all this stuff, and none of that really matters. And it was the moment that he lost a picture of his mom when he was drunk one night, and that was his rock bottom moment, and it changed everything. He became sober. He dedicated his life to serving others. He started several multi-million-dollar companies, all around like renewable energy and solar power and stuff like that to fix the world's problems. So the moral of the story is we all got to drink a little bit more tequila so we can hit our rock bottom moments.
Get there faster.
And then get there faster and then go save the world.
Someone that you're
Absolutely.
coaching. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. We don't do it often, but we coach enough. When you coach enough clients, like inevitably you're gonna run across somebody that just isn't a good fit, and you have to fire as a client. We've worked with hundreds of clients. I'd say it happens probably once, 1 out of every 100. We actually have to fire as a client because they're not willing to be coachable. They're not willing to be decisive. They're not willing to do the work. And as much as we always explain it as like, if you want to get to the top of the mountain, we can pack your bag, we can give you the trail map, we'll even walk with you up the mountain, and we'll hold your hand the whole damn way, helping you every step of the way. But the one thing that we can't do is carry you up the mountain.
Yeah.
And every now and then you get someone that says they're willing to do the work, that says they're willing to be coachable and take action, but they're so stuck in the excuses and so stuck in blaming other people that they will just fight you tooth and nail, and eventually you kind of have to just be like, look, love you, but not going to work out.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You can't be a coach without a coach. It just doesn't work, right? The way I always explain it is you can't read the label from inside the bottle. And if you're trying to, you're a shit out of luck, and you are going to make some serious mistakes, right? So, the first thing that I always tell people, if you're a coach and you want people to hire you as a coach and you want people to pay you money, you have to know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Right? You have to know what it feels like to get out of your comfort zone and invest in someone else and put your trust and faith in them to support you if you want other people to do it for you. So number one, you got to do that. And number two, again, you can't see your own blind spots. I have never been without at least 2 coaches and at least 1 mastermind in my history as an entrepreneur. And people always ask, like, what do you think is the reason for, your success and where I've gotten to in such a short amount of time? It's 100% because I never tried to do it alone. Heyo! Hopefully that was fun. Hopefully you learned a little something. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I may have just wasted like 15 minutes of your life. I'm really not sorry. I really don't care. Because I know there was some valuable information in there. So enjoy it. Love you.